Good morning, and again, this is your Sir Ian. We will be having the continuation of the topic that we opened last week about radicals. So if you have some questions, please write it down dun po sa comment section natin. If may natutunan din po tayo, I'm requesting everyone na please write it down kung ano rin yung natutunan ninyo para lang at least alam namin if this kind of or teaching is effective sa panahon po na ganito. Okay? So without further ado po, let's start with our slides para maituloy na po natin yung topic natin. Okay? So as I have told you, we will be having the continuation of radicals, how to simplify radicals part 2. And in this part, we will be talking about rationalizing the denominator. So again, we have the word rationalizing the denominator from the word rational. What do you mean by that? We will dig deeper pagdating po dito. And we will be talking about that dito po sa mismo lesson po natin. Okay, as always, we have our aim. Para hindi tayo naliligaw, alam natin kung ano po yung gagawin natin. We have this aim na kapag nagawa po natin, at least may pakinabang na tayo nakuha dito po sa ating video lesson. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to, we only have here now two aims for today, and that is to define conjugate. Wow, meron na naman tayong panibagong salita rito, which is conjugate. We will be talking about that. And yung pangalawa, how to rationalize the denominator of the given radicals. So if we have here now the radicals at fraction siya, paano natin i-rationalize yan? These two will be our aim for our lesson for today. Now, as I have told you, we are talking about rationalizing the denominator. So I have here now rational versus irrational numbers. Let's have a review. Ano ba yung tinatawag po natin na rational numbers? At the same time, what are those that we call irrational numbers? Okay, let's first talk about rational numbers. Pag sinabi po natin rational numbers, this is a number that can be made by dividing two integers. So, number siya, pwede ka mag-divide or pwede mo siyang i-represent as a fraction. Yun yung ibig sabihin. We have here now the example, 2/5, 3, -1/4. These are all rational numbers. What about irrational numbers? When we talk about irrational numbers, these are real numbers that cannot be written as a simple fraction. We cannot represent these numbers as a simple fraction. If you notice, ito, represented na siya as a simple fraction. This one, a whole number, has a denominator of 1, so a simple fraction also. We have a -1/4, even though it is a negative, still represented siya as a simple fraction. When we talk about irrational numbers, we cannot represent it using a simple fraction. Examples will be square root of 3 and the 4th root of 12. Kung mapansin po natin, yung kaibahan niya dito sa nauna, meron silang radical sign. That's one sign, or one symbol na pwede nating makita, palatandaan na, irrational number siya. Pero, i-clear ko lang, kung square root of 4 yan, rational yan kasi exact yung value niya. Ito hindi. Another thing, paano pag wala pong radicals? Ang tinatawag pa rin nating irrational numbers are non-repeating, non-terminating decimals. For example, yung value ng pi. Ito. So, hindi lang po siya 3.14. May kadugsong pa siya. Hindi na uulit yung number na, paulit-ulit, tapos dire-diretso pa siya. Non-terminating. So, ito po yung kaibahan. Pero in this topic that we are discussing, we will be focusing more about the radicals. Considering that radical po yung topic natin. So when we try to talk about rationalizing denominator, walang radical sa denominator. As simple as that. Okay. let's have a review on when do we say that the radical is in its simplest form. Kailan daw natin matatawag or masasabi na yung radical nasa simplest form na siya. We actually discussed this last week, last video lesson. Balikan lang po natin. Number 1, the radicand does not contain a perfect root. So kung square root yan, wala nang factor yung radicand na perfect square. Kung cube root yan, wala nang factor yung mismong radicand na perfect cube. Okay? Pangalawa, the index of the radical is the lowest possible index. Ito yung pinabababa natin yung order ng index natin. And makikita nyo pa rin yan dun sa last video lesson na in-upload po natin. Okay? Last but not the least, there will be no fraction in the radicand or no radical in the denominator. Ito yung hindi natin diniscuss last time. And we will be focusing on this one. No fraction in the radicand. So the radicand can be represented as a fraction or no radical in the denominator. Kung pinaghiwalay mo naman daw, wala ka na makikitang radical sign dun sa mismong denominator natin. So that will be the main focus dito po sa discussion natin today. Okay, the process of removing the radical in the denominator. Paano ba natin tatanggalin yung radical dun sa denominator natin? Ang tawag natin dito is rationalizing the denominator. As I have told you, instead na irrational, kasi yung radical is irrational, i-remove natin yan at gagawin natin rational number. That is our aim for today. We simply follow certain steps so that we can remove the radical or radicals. Pwede kasing isa, pwedeng dalawa yung radicals na makikita natin sa denominator. So meron tayong steps and we will be discussing that. Okay? Now, the question will be, I'm going to show you two radicals here. Or two radical expressions, should I say. And I want to ask you this question. Are these two radical expressions equal? These two. The first one is 2 over 4 minus the square root of 15. The second one is 8 plus 2 times the square root of 15. Now, if we do not have prior knowledge about radicals, sasabihin natin magkaiba. Unang-una, ocular inspection, iba yung numbers na present dito, maliban dito sa may square root of 15. But the signs are different. But what if I told you na, uy, parehas yan? So magkakaroon ng problema. Ito lang isa na rationalize yung denominator. Wala ka makikitang ganito sa denominator. These two examples, radical expressions, are basically the same. They have the same value, but in different form. Kaya nga merong magtanong, sir, parehas lang pala ng value. Do we have to change the form? Eh, hindi naman mababago yung mismong value niya. Tama. Kaya lang, for consistency lang, kailangan iisa tayo ng gagawin. Just imagine kung tayo ay merong isang project na gagawin and we are both engineers. Halimbawa, rocket yung ating kino-compute. And nung nag-compute tayo, ito lumabas sa computation ko. And this one, sa computation mo, magkakaroon tayo ng confusion. Uy, alin dyan yung tama? Or, hindi lang naman tayong dalawa yung titingin sa ating computation. May iba pang tao. So, kahit alam nila na, uy, pwede, it will take time na i-compute pa nila. So, sa ngayon, i-rationalize natin para maging standardized. Hindi mahirapan lahat. Isang tingin pa lang, uy, alam na natin na parehas tayo. This is one of the reasons why the mathematicians of old, hindi the old mathematician, the mathematicians of old, yung mga naunang mathematician, come up with the idea of rationalizing the denominator. Kaya po pala nila naisip, uy, para standardize tayo, rationalize natin denominator. If you notice, halos lahat ng nasa high school, pagdadaanan to. Para standard lang tayo lahat. Even though pare-pares yung value, nitong dalawa, dahil nga magkakaroon pa ng kalituhan, dahil magkaiba naman talaga yung form niya, standardize natin, rationalize natin yung denominator. Okay? Okay, but how to rationalize the denominator? Dito na tayo sa tanong na, papaano ba? Okay? First, yung kaalaman natin kailangan solid yung foundation natin. Let us go back on how we can remove the radical sign. Forget about the rationalizing the denominator first. Dito muna tayo. Paano ba tayo magre-remove ng radical sign? If we want to remove the radical sign in square root of 3, we must be able to make the radicand, yung 3 natin a perfect power that will neutralize or cancel out the index of the radical. Ang index natin yung nandito. Sir, wala nakasulat 2. Kaya ang tawag dito is square root. Pag square 2 ang exponent, tama? Square root ang index nun, 2 rin. Okay? So, opposite operation lang yung exponent at saka yung radical natin. Okay. So, kailangan daw parehas yung index natin at saka yung exponent natin. Tuloy natin. The index in this given is 2. As I have told you, this is square root. So, 2 yung nandito kahit hindi mo nakikita. And the exponent of the radicand, ang radicand natin ay 3. Ang exponent daw ng 3 ay 1. Ayun. So, hindi siya parehas kasi yung isa 2, yung isa 1. Therefore, using one of the properties of radical, doon sa ating mga napagdaanan na rin last week, we can multiply radical kapag parehas yung indices nila. So, square root of 3 will be multiplied by square root of 3, thus giving us square root of 3 square. Kung ang index natin ay 2, exponent natin ay 2, they will cancel each other out. Pag na-cancel yan, na-eliminate, 3 na lang yung matitira. They will cancel each other out, giving us the answer of 3. Nawala na yung radical. Okay? Another example. If we want to eliminate the radical sign of the square root of 8, so medyo malaki na. Now, we have to simplify it first, and by using the jailboot system, which we discussed last time around, we will represent it as the square root of 2 cubed. Instead na 8, tanda, kunin natin yung prime number niya, prime factors niya, lagyan lang natin na exponent. Ito yung kalalabasan. Ngayon, dahil jailboot system yan, 3 piso yung pera niya, pero 2 piso lang yung piyansa. If you can still recall, pwede tayo lumabas ng isang beses. May matitira tayong isa, yun yung maiiwanan sa loob ng radical sign. So this will be 2 times the square root of 2. And the only radical will be the square root of 2. Unlike last time, na square root of 8, square root of 2 na lang matitira. So yung nailabas mo, whole number na siya. Hindi na siya radical. Therefore, instead of multiplying the given by the square root of 8, ito yung, actually nung nag-aaral din ako, this is one of my mistakes. Kung ano yung nakikita kong given, yun din yung i-multiply ko, kahit malaki. So, sa math, pag lumalaki yung number, mas mahirap. So, instead na multiply natin ng square root of 8, ang gagawin na lang natin, multiply it by square root of 2. Ayan. 2 square root of 2 times square root of 2. Yung whole number, i-multiply mo sa whole number sa kabila. 2 times 1, 2. Okay? Square root of 2 times square root of 2 will give you square root of 2 square. Pwede nang makancel. So, pag na-cancel yung square root at saka yung square, this will give us with 2 times 2. 2 na lang yung natira. And 2 times 2 will be 4. So this will be the number that we are looking for. Now, the reason why pinakikita ko po ito, this will be the basis, the foundation, dun sa gagawin natin sa rationalizing the denominator. So I'm hoping you're getting the gist kung ano po yung gagawin natin para mawala yung radical sign. Okay? Now, in rationalizing the denominator, we simply change the form of the expression but not the actual value. Ito yung binanggit ko na kanina dun sa pinag-compare natin. Yung form niya, ibang form na yung ginagamit natin, but the value remains. Hindi na babago yung value natin. Paano natin mapapatunayan na hindi na bago yung value? We can do that by multiplying the original given by 1. But, yung 1 na tinutukoy, in different form. Tandaan natin sabi natin, multiplying it by 1. Bakit? Any number, any given multiplied by 1 will be equal to the same given, the same number. Kaya lang, instead na 1 yung makikita natin, ibang form yung makikita natin. Nagagamitin po natin. Okay? Halimbawa, if 1 over square root of 2 is the given, and we will be removing the radical in the denominator, dito po papasok yung rationalizing the denominator. We multiply it by 1. Ayan. Kaya lang, ang mangyari 1 over square root of 2 times 1. So, paano natin mararationalize yung denominator? But, instead of a simple 1, we will be using square root of 2 over square root of 2. Tanong, equal ba sila? Equal ba sila sa 1? Di ba equal din? Any number divided by itself is equal to 1. So, yun po ang sinasabi natin na different po, but in different form, yung 1. Kung ano yung magagamit natin para mawala po yung radical sa denominator, yun ang gagamitin natin dito, numerator at denominator. Parehas lang. Thus, we will be seeing 1 over square root of 2 times square root of 2 over square root of 2 instead of 1 over square root of 2 times 1. So, instead na ito yung makikita mo. Pero still, the value remains. 1 pa rin naman yung value nito eh. Okay? Let's try to simplify things. 1 times square root of 2 is equal to square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 2 squared. Minumultiply lang natin yung radicand. Pwede na siyang makancel dito. And that will lead us to the answer is square root of 2 over 2. So yung value po pala ng 1 over square root of 2, kapag na-rationalize natin yung denominator, eto. Square root of 2 over 2. So I'm hoping you're getting the steps. Dahil mamaya po, pasusubukan ko rin sa inyo para at least hindi nasasayang na nanonood lang po tayo. Okay, similarly, if we have the given, a fraction, yung radicand natin fraction, square root of 8 over 3. Using, again, one of the properties of the radicals, it can be written as, pwede natin siyang paghiwalayin. If the given is a fraction at hindi mo naman kayang i-simplify na yung fraction, hindi mo na makancel, pwede mong paghiwalayin ng numerator at denominator with the same index. So, square root of 8 over square root of 3. Ayun. Since that will be the given, we can rationalize the denominator by multiplying it with kung ano yung gusto natin mawala sa denominator. Square root of 3. This is already a prime number. So, ito na rin po yung gagamitin nating multiplier. So, again, para maging 1 lang siya, kung ano yung ipang-multiply mo sa denominator para mawala yung radical sign, yun din ang ilalagay mo sa numerator. Do not forget, hindi pwedeng magkaiba yan. Para 1 lang po yung value. Okay. Let us also apply the jailboot system in the given. Sir, bakit kailangan nating i-apply yung jailboot system or yung pagsisimplify muna? Para maiwasan nating lumobo yung number na kapag lumaki yung number, tatama rin na po tayong magsagot. Okay. So, instead of 8, we will rewrite it as square root of 2 cubed. Ayan. Over square root of 3 times, again, gusto nating mawala ito, square root of 3 over square root of 3 equals. So, ito yung kalalabasan. Dahil parehas ng indices, we multiply the radicals. The radicands, should I say. Ano mangyayari dito? Sir, saan nanggaling yung 2? Again, if you can still recall yung pong ating jailboot system, May 3 piso siya, 2 piso ang piyansa, labas ang 1 beses. Ayun. Ilan ang matitira? Isa lang. 2. So 2 ay yung 3. Hindi na siya makakalabas. 3. Over, cancel tong square root at saka yung square over 3. So we will be simplifying this. That is 2 times the square root of 2 times 3 is 6. So 2 times the square root of 6 over 3. This will be our answer if we will be rationalizing the denominator of the given square root of 8 over 3. So again, I hope you're getting the gist, the steps that we want to impart sa atin po. Okay? Kaya lang, yung napansin natin, yung given po dito, iisa. Simple radical lang. Nasa radical sign na siya, iisa pa. What if we have a binomial as our denominator? Sir, paano naman pag binomial? Halimbawa, ang given sa atin, 3 over 2 minus the square root of 3. Anong gagawin natin? Can we simply multiply the denominator by square root of 3 over square root of 3? Ito yung ginagawa lang natin eh. Para mawala yan, multiply mo doon sa gusto mong mawala. Prime number na yung 3. Subukan natin. Ito yung given times square root of 3 over square root of 3. So ito 1 lang. Ha? Pag i-multiply ko ito dito, 3 square root of 3. Pag ito ay minultiply ko dito sa square root of 3, ito kalalabasan. Distribute natin ha. 2 square root of 3, negative 3, negative square root of 3 times square root of 3, negative 3. Makakancel lang siya kasi 3 squared. So ito, yung taas the same. Now if you notice, dun sa baba, kahit i-multiply natin dito, meron pa ring radical. Ayun o. There is still a radical in the denominator. What to do now? Ano yung pwede natin gawin? Alam naman, hayaan lang natin ganyan na lang. Okay? Eh, ang goal nga natin, we have to rationalize the denominator. So, ano rin yung gagawin natin? Now, if the denominator is a binomial containing radical or radicals, kasi yung pinakita ko kanina, isa lang, pwedeng dalawa pa rin yan. We have to use conjugate of the denominator. Halimbawa, ito yung given. 3 over 2 minus the square root of 3. Ngayon, may sinasabing conjugate of the denominator. What do you mean by conjugate? Dapat alam natin para maintindihan natin kung anong gagawin. So, what is conjugate? Now, yung conjugate natin is actually a pair of things joined together. Ito, conjoined. Meron tayong term, may term, pinagsama, joined together, sign. Exactly the same except for one pair of features that are actually opposite of each other. Kamukha daw nito pero may isang feature sila na exactly opposite sa isa't isa. So, ang magiging conjugate pala nito, kamukha niya pero merong pagkakaiba sa kanya. Kamukha lang niya kahawig. Sir, parang magulo. Okay, tuloy natin. The conjugate is formed by changing the sign. Ano raw ang papalitan? Changing the sign. Saan? In the middle of the two terms. Binomial, dalawang term. Asan ang gitna? Middle, ayun. Ito ang papalitan. Formed by changing the sign in the middle of the two terms. Ang isang halimbawa nito, the factor of the difference of two squares is always a pair of conjugates. Halimbawa, a squared minus b squared. Dalawang square siya, tapos minus siya. Difference of two squares nga. Ang factors niya, kung babalikan nyo, a plus b times a minus b. So, a plus b yung isang grupo, yung kabilang grupo, a minus b. Magkamuka, magkaiba lang yung nasa gitnang sign. Alin ang papalitan? Yung nasa gitnang sign lang. Okay? Now, Using this knowledge, we can now focus first on the denominator. Ito yung given, ha. Asan ang denominator natin? Ito. Focus tayo. Ang sabi, based from one of the definitions of the conjugate, it is formed by changing the sign in the middle of two terms. First term, second term, dalawang term. Papalitan daw yung sign sa pagitan. The conjugate of 2 minus the square root of 3 is 2 plus square root of 3. I would want to make it clear, sir, may sign yan. Positive sa unahan, etong gitna, dalawa yung sign yan. Alin ang papalitan? Yung gitna, hindi yung unahan. Marami nagkakamali, pati unahan pinapalitan. Yung gitna lamang po yung papalitan natin. Okay? Notice the sign in between terms. First term, second term, first term, second term. Tingnan daw yung sign natin sa pagitan. Isang negative, isang positive. By the way, dalawa lang naman yung sign na ginagamit natin. Positive and negative sign dito sa math po natin. Okay. So what we did, yung conjugate niya, syempre, para maging 1 pa rin yan, yun pa rin yung multiplier natin or yung multiplier natin sa numerator. Ayan o. 2 plus square root of 3 over 2 plus square root of 3. Still, the value of this is 1. Iba lang yung form niya. So again, para may check, conjugate. Magkaiba lang yung sign sa gitna. Ano makukuha ang sagot? 3 times ito. Denominator times the denominator. Ayan. So what are we going to get? That is, if we distribute this, that will become 6. 3 times 1. So may 1 tayo ditong whole number, ha. Palagi. Pag wala kayo nakikita number, just before the radical, may 1 yan. So 3 times 1 is 3 square root of 3. Over, sir, saan nanggaling yung 4 minus 3? Eh, iba ito. So pakita po natin dito. Ito yung 2 minus the square root of 3 times 2 plus square root of 3. Tingnan natin. 2 times 2, 4. Ayan. 2 times negative square root of 3, that will give you negative 2 times square root of 3. Wala ka nang pakialam dito. Dito naman tayo. Positive square root of 3 times 2, positive ang sagot. Positive square root of 3 times negative square root of 3, negative square root of 3 squared. Simplify natin. Yung walang katapat, baba. So we have here now 4. Sir, ito magkamukhang magkamukha. The only difference is the sign. They will cancel each other out. Okay pa? And then ito, ibaba na lang natin. Makakancel yung radical. Ang matitira, negative 3. And this given, this answer for negative 3, ito po yung nasa denominator natin. Okay? So 4 minus 3 ang sagot, 1. So any number over 1, yun lang number na yun. So matitira natin sagot, 6 plus 3 square root of 3. This will be our answer for this one. If we rationalize the denominator of the given, 3 over 2 minus square root of 3, ang sagot ito. 6 plus 3 square root of 3. Again, mukhang magkaiba yung given, mukhang magkaiba yung naging sagot, pero iisa yung value niya. Okay? So I'm hoping you're learning something here. Now it's your turn. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to give you 5 given, but I'm only giving you 3 minutes. Try answering this one. Simplify the following by rationalizing the denominator. The given, 5 numbers, 3 over square root of 5, the cube root of 5 over 9, the fourth root of 5 over 8, 4 over square root of 5 plus square root of 3, 3 over square root of 6 plus 2. So we have here now 5 given. Again, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Try it out, guys. Push yourself para alam nyo kung may natutunan kayo. Follow the steps that we have discussed. Subukan lang natin to. After 3 minutes, I'm going to show you the answer here para alam nyo kung tama po yung ginawa nyo and you learn something. Again, kung sakali po na, uy, may natutunan ako, leave a comment. I will appreciate it. Kung sakali, sir, nalilito pa rin ako, leave a comment para at least malalayan pa rin po namin kayo. Okay? So your 3 minutes starts now. I'm going to take a look at the time. Okay. So 3 minutes, guys. I hope you're trying it out para at least alam natin, fresh sa isip natin kung anong ginagawa natin. So sana may natutunan po. Just 3 minutes. I'm going to show you the answer without the process, without the computation. But I'm going to show you the exact answer para po sa atin. Okay? Alright, 1 minute left, guys. 1 minute left. Come on, you can do it. Just try it out. Give it a go. Huwag nating isipin ang hirap, hindi ko alam. So lahat ay mahirap sa simula lang, guys. So try it out. 30 seconds, guys. 30 seconds. So the reason why may time limit po, para at least yung pressure kasi lalong nagpapatibay po sa atin yun. Mas pinagagana niya yung utak natin. If we work under pressure, mas lumalabas yung capability po natin. Yung potential natin. And that's it. 3 minutes is up. I hope you have finished at least 3 man lang. Pero if you finish 5, that's good. The answers should be this. Number 1, you are correct if you have the answer 3 square root of 5 over 5. For number 2, you have to come up with the answer the cube root of 15 over 3. So wala tayong radical sa denominator. Number 3, the fourth root of 10 over 2. This should be your answer. Number 4, 2 square root of 5 minus 2 square root of 3. So wala tayong denominator dito sa number 4. Number 5, 3 square root of 6 minus 6 all over 2. So if you have these answers, I'm happy for you, you learned something. And kung hindi naman, try to find ways kung paano nakuha. You have the steps, you have this video. At least meron kayong guide kung paano po gagawin. Don't give up, keep on learning, guys. Ano po? Okay, so that will be our topic for today. As I have mentioned, this is just the continuation of the topic that we have discussed last week. I hope you learned something dun po sa team namin. Our goal is for you to learn. So sabi nga, nasa sa atin po kung gusto nating may matutunan. Kahit gaano kagaling yung teachers ninyo, kahit gaano katyaga sila, kung ikaw mismo ayaw mong matuto, simula pa lang nahihirapan ka na, hindi ka po matututo. So train yourself, you want to learn, kahit anong mangyayari, yun lang yung kaya naming i-impart sa inyo. All we can do is to educate you guys and hope this video learn. Again, this is your Sir Ian saying, keep on learning guys as always. Nandito lang po kami kung may mga tanong. And have a nice day. Goodbye.